In October 2022, Apple held their Take Note event, where they announced a redesigned base iPad as well as a spec-bumped M2 iPad Pro. Yeah, I lied. They did not hold an event. Well, it was almost an event. I mean, it had all the hallmarks of one. Cool marketing artwork, presenters in Apple Park, reveal videos, subtle background music, and it wasn't a small release either. The base iPad, up until this point, hadn't received a big design update in forever. So new design, new chip, new keyboard accessory, the front camera moved to the longer edge of the iPad for the first time in iPad history. So it was almost like an Apple event in that regard, except instead of a hyped up live stream that people would wait 2 weeks to see, it was just a 10-minute video dropped on their YouTube channel. Boring! Man, what a snooze fest. 2022 was the first time that Apple did something like this, but then they kept on going. For Apple's Mac announcements in October 2024, they split up each product announcement day by day. And then in March 2026, Apple had these really small press releases day after day until bang! Genuinely enough to make the PC world shiver in their boots. So why the sudden shift? Well, one answer is that, at least for Apple's 2022 strategy, they just didn't have enough products ready. Had the updated MacBook Pro and Mac Mini been ready for release 2 months earlier, Apple could have easily done a full event. I mean, you'd have 4 new products, each with some pretty decent upgrades. But they didn't have the other 2 products ready, and so they had to split the announcements. But that's not a reason to just turn them into standard press releases. For design changes and cool new features and major chip upgrades, you're going to need to do something more than a standard press release, since those wouldn't generate nearly enough buzz required for such an update. Then for 2024's day-by-day strategy, Apple figured that by splitting each announcement day by day, each product would have its chance to shine in the spotlight. Take the iMac for example. In 2023, during Apple's Scary Fast event, even though Apple spent most of their time talking about the new MacBook Pro, they slipped in a few extra minutes at the end to say, hey, we updated the iMac with M3. And apart from a couple of obligatory articles after the event, nobody really cared. Instead, all the attention went over to that M3 MacBook Pro. The base model had finally moved on from this blasphemous design. Like, come on, this was in the Big 23, by the way. And of course, everyone is raving on about the new space black color, including me. Wait, no, you don't get to see that. So in 2024, on the first day of these announcements, Apple just announced the iMac. So if that day anyone wanted some fresh Apple news, that's it. You have no other choice but to look at the new iMac, it's front and center. And then the same thing happened the next day with the Mac Mini, and then the day after that with the MacBook Pro. Now what happened in March 2026 was a little more perplexing. There were so many products that were released, like there was an updated, wait, hold on one second. MacBook Air, MacBook Pro, Studio Display XDR, iPhone 17e, iPad Air, MacBook Neo, that's a lot of stuffs. I actually forgot the regular Studio Display in here. Case in point, I guess. So why wasn't there an event for all of these? Well, only the MacBook Neo was worth making a fuss out of. Apart from the Neo, every other announcement was so tiny. If we had a full event for all of these, just imagine how lame it would be. We've got some exciting news to share across many of our products. All right, I'm ready, let's go, hit me. Introducing the new MacBook Air, supercharged by M5. Nice, okay, what else does it have? That's actually a really good question. Nothing off the top of my head, no. Okay, show me what else you have. Introducing the all-new MacBook Pro, supercharged by M5 Pro and M5 Max. Cool, any new features? Yeah, nothing again. Bro, are we being for real? Doesn't matter. This is the all-new iPad Air with, let me guess, a built-in particle accelerator? That's exactly right, it's M4. And, yeah, that's about it. Somebody is getting punched tonight. And finally, the elephant in the room, WWDC 2026. It was still a traditional event with press invitations, a live stream, hype, and WWDC has happened every year since 1990. But with the event this year, instead of being split into sections talking about different operating systems, it was split in a way that felt like it was trying to appease as many people as possible. The first section was reserved for the biggest changes across all operating systems. So in every operating system, there were stability changes, bug fixes, redesigned app icons. There were also other finer changes in the operating system, but they didn't bother talking about those. They moved on to the next section, which was child safety? Like nearly 15% of their precious software event talking about online protections that parents can set up for their children. The rest of the event was obviously AI and Siri. For all those shareholders who need to be notified that Siri is no longer an incompetent little potato and it's still worth it to invest in Apple, please invest in us. We're not behind in the AI race. We're still competent. Please, please. And every section seemed to be based on major criticisms before the event. With the first section, there were so many complaints online that iOS 26 was buggy and filled with incomplete features. For the second section, as of late, there's been major discourse on social media and its effect on teenagers, as well as the effects of various entertainment and gaming services on smaller children. And for the final section, even with the first Apple Intelligence rollout, Siri was still, you know what, let's just not talk about it. So Apple events are changing, but they kind of have to. There is no way that the traditional event formula that they've been holding on to for years is going to satisfy every single kind of product announcement they have. Well, apart from the iPhones. That one always works. Oh, look, there's a bunny there. That bunny doesn't pay its taxes. IRS, you know what to do.